we are going to study a few things about the methodology of economic subject. We say economics is also a science. What it is? It is a science, or in other words, we say it is a social science. Alright? So, what if I ask you, many of you have switched from sciences, natural sciences towards this group of business or social sciences. So, if I ask you how the study of science deals with certain types of experiments to make their laws. For example, if we talk about natural sciences, they have a different methodology, but on the same basis, we have a methodology which makes our study more scientific. Although it is a social science, but by following a scientific methodology, we say we are also having the same procedure of study or methodology of study which is adopted by the other sciences or other subjects. For example, in science, in biology, you can say, I studied that in my FSC, what is happening. First of all, when they are going to make a law, the first step of that study is hypothesis. What do you mean by hypothesis? Have you ever studied? Hypothesis means what? A statement given by any person which can be either correct or incorrect. For example, if I say dengue fever is caused by dengue mosquito. Nowadays we say, so this is a statement given by a person that when people who are living in those damp areas where clean water is stagnant, they are having more chances of getting dengue fever. Clear? This is a statement. Now, what is the next step? They have to make logical deductions. After making a hypothesis, again we have to make deductions. We have to deduce some other statements like which will make our experiment easier to check every statement. What would be the logical statements? Then we perform an experiment in science. When that experiment is performed in the laboratory, that some of the people who are living around the damp areas, their blood test is made, so it is confirmed that they are getting more chances of dengue fever who are living in that area. So mosquitoes, the specialist mosquitoes, they are causing this type of disease. Not every mosquito. So once experiment is performed, then it will become a law in science. Okay? So that law can be further tested for further research. But the methodology is there from hypothesis, we make deductions, then we perform the experiment, then there is going to be a law which is tested by performing an experiment. Now what happens in case of economics? We see in economics methodology, first of all we define a problem. What it is? Define a problem. Then we investigate the problem. क्या है? Investigate that problem. The problem. We make certain assumptions whether this investigation is going to be performed and experiments in the society to see the human behavior, because human behavior is continuously changing and it is different from one individual to another. In scientific experiments, we perform the experiments in the laboratory where controlled experiments can be performed. Clear? But in case of social sciences, we perform the experiments in the laboratory of society where people are living, and everyone in the society has a different economic behavior. So how can we make a law? So we are investigating the problem, then we make certain experiments, and after the experiment what happens? We make a model, economic model in mathematics that can be written, which can be further tested in the later stages, because human behavior is continuously changing. Clear? So in order to make a law, we define a problem, then we investigate the problem, then we perform experiment under certain, perform experiments under certain assumptions, and then a model is made. Economic model is there after these steps. Clear? Now I take one example. Most of you, those who have studied economics, they will be better understanding, but my task is to keep every one of you with me. For example, we make a demand model. What it is? Model means what? Model is the representation of society. What it is? A representation of society. Like if we take one student from this class and we make few assumptions that this student under these assumptions will have this economic behavior, and when all the students they are having the same assumptions to be applied, they all will have the same type of economic behavior. And what are those assumptions which we are making? Like here we are finding the relationship between price and quantity demanded. We are going to check the relationship between two variables, that is the price of the product and its quantity demanded. But there can be many other things. Out of these two, they are also affecting the demand of a product. Follow my point or not? For example, these two are called endogenous variables, because endogenous means these are the variables in study about which we are going to find the relationships. But the other variables are, they are called exogenous variables. What are those? They are income, prices of other goods. What else? Tax and subsidy, taste, fashion, trend, weather condition, population size. Clear? So if all these assumptions we say, these exogenous means the other factors other than price and quantity, if they are kept constant, that everyone is having same income, it is not going to vary, prices of other goods are also kept constant, their taste and fashions are also constant, then we can find that price and quantity demanded, they are inversely related with each other. We performed an experiment in isolation that under these assumptions, we want to find the true relationship between price and quantity demand. When everyone, we took a model consumer from the market, from the society, and we assumed that under these assumptions which are having the constant factors, if this model consumer is going to buy more of a good when its price falls, then everyone will have the same economic behavior under these assumptions. Clear? So, in order to write all these factors which can affect the demand of a good, we write two words in economic methodology. What is that? These two words are called ceteris paribus. are two Latin words. Latin words. These meanings are that price and quantity demanded are inversely related with each other at ceteris paribus. Rather to write all these factors which are kept constant, instead of writing all those factors for every demand of the product, we write two words that any factor which can affect the demand of a product that is kept constant, then we can find a relationship which is inverse in nature, that they move in opposite direction for all the consumers. Clear? The methodology is that we make some assumption, we study the relationship between price and quantity in isolation. Isolation means what? We are only allowing these two things to change and keep other factors fixed or constant. Then this relationship can be found by performing experiment on a model consumer, and law of demand will show us, now it has become a law or consumer demand model, that both price and quantity demanded, they are inversely related with each other. Clear? If price falls, quantity demand will increase. If price increases, then quantity demand will decrease. So they will move in opposite direction in this case. Clear? Now, we found this thing, this ceteris paribus in the economic methodology. It is very important in order to see the human behavior under certain conditions or in isolation. Then we implement this decision which we found in our experiment of model consumer to all the society consumers. Clear? Now, what other things are used in economic methodology? One, I said the two words of ceteris paribus in our economic model building. Second is the decisions in economics, they are made at marginal level, not at total level. What is the meaning of marginal? Marginal means additional or extra. What do you mean? Marginal means additional or extra. I give you an example. Your class average marks are 80%, for example. Clear? If additional student is getting admission to your class, if that student is getting marks more than 80%, which is the class average, so your class average will also increase. All the students right now, they are having average marks 80%, but the marginal student or additional student, she has achieved or scored more than 80%. So along with the marginal student, the class average will also increase. Clear? So if that additional student, she is getting less than 80%, what happens? Your class average will also decrease. So on the basis of marginal values in economics, we make the decisions. In order to maximize the profit of the firm, we use the marginal cost values and marginal revenue values. Where they are equated, then our total profit will be maximized. So marginal values are very important in the study of economics. Clear? Marginal cost, marginal revenue, marginal utility, marginal rate of tax. So these are used frequently. This is actually showing a small change in the total value of a variable due to a small change in the variable factor, which is bad. For example, we said the marginal cost. Marginal cost means change in total cost due to an extra unit produced. So how much total cost is changed due to an additional unit produced? So that will give us a marginal cost. This is telling us a small change in the total variable due to an additional unit of variable in broader terms. So marginal decision making is also very important. Another thing, the area of study of economics is also involving the time periods. What are those time periods which are being involved in our study of economics? There are three. Time is continuous. It is, we are living in a dynamic world. No one can stop time, but we can observe the economic relationship within fixed time period, like within 1 year, what happens to our production, and after the 1 year or after the 5 years, what will happen to our production cost. Clear? So there can be three types of time periods. One is called short-term time. We studied the factors of production, land, labor and capital. During the short-term period of time, some factors of production are kept fixed, where others are variable. Like if you are producing cloths in your farm, your land is kept fixed, capital like the building of the factory and the machinery, that's also fixed. So by which factor you can change the level of output? By changing labor and raw material. Alright, by asking the workers to do overtime, or you can increase the number of workers in order to produce more cloth. So short run is the time period in which we find some factors of production fixed and others are variable, and output of the firm can only be changed by changing the variable factor of production. Followed? So this is the short run time period. Another time period is that long run. Okay. In long run, what happens? All the factors of production have become variable. Now after 10 years, after 5 years, your father has increased the area of your factory. So both land and factory building, which is the capital, and machinery, and along with that labor is also increased. The number of workers employed to your firm will also have increased. So when all the factors of production have become variable, that time period is called a long run time period. Clear? During short run, we change the level of output by changing the variable factor, but in long run, all factors are variable now. Nothing is kept fixed. Land is also now variable, capital is also variable, labor is already variable. In other words, scale of production has been changed during the long run. You have increased the scale of production. If you have doubled the inputs, do you think the output has increased more than doubled, equal to doubled, or less than doubled? If output has increased more than doubled, then your per unit cost in the long run has gone down. Why firms are having expansions? Because they want to reduce their per unit cost in the long run. They want to achieve more productive efficiency. And if output hasn't doubled, although inputs have been doubled, so what happens? Your long run average cost starts increasing. So average cost will also increase. So the long run is related to when all the factors of production are variable, and during short run, some factors are fixed and others are variable. What is the time period which is called very long run? What is this time period? These short run and long run, they are the internal factors of the firm. What are those? Internal factors. By changing labor, by changing capital, or all of them, production can be changed. Now, in very long run, the factors which are outside the production unit, like government policy, advancement in technology, or changes in consumer trends in the market, they are a factor. In the very long run, when all these external factors outside the firm, they have also changed. So that is called now the firm is under very long run time. Clear or not? So this is about, we started with What is the methodology of economics? We use the two words ceteris paribus to make the economic model more realistic, that under these assumptions all the economic agents will have the same economic behavior. Then we studied what is meant by the marginal decision making, and then we studied these models are actually built up in case of the short run time period, long run and very long run. What are the changes which are taking place in the human behavior in very long run? So this is the methodology we studied over here today, and in our tomorrow's lesson we will proceed further. We will see what are the allocative mechanisms, how resources can be efficiently allocated to fulfill the maximum of human wants. We will do them tomorrow. Thank you.